All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody to the September 2018 meeting for the Google Educators Group of Ohio. This is a monthly, well, usually monthly meeting where we take a look at everything new in G Suite from the last month, and we share Google tips and tricks, and we answer questions related to using Google tools in school. My name is Eric Curts, and I'm a tech integration specialist up at the Stark Portage Area Computer Consortium, or SPARC for short. We're an information technology center serving schools in Northeast Ohio. However, this meeting is open to anyone in Ohio or outside of Ohio, no matter where you're at. You're definitely welcome to join us. All of the resources for today's meeting can be found in our Google Doc editable agenda, which can be located on our GEG Ohio website. If you have not gotten into that doc yet, you'll see the link up on the screen now for the GEG Ohio website. It is bit.ly/GEG Ohio. When you get out to the GEG Ohio website, you will see a link for the monthly meetings. You can get that in the middle of the page or at the top, either way is fine. And once you scroll down there, you'll see the agenda of our planned meetings for this year. And here is the link to the editable agenda for today. Of course, there are past meetings as well. All of that is always available if you need to get back to some previous content. And of course, the upcoming dates, always be cautious. These can change. We do sometimes have to move things around a little bit. So if you are planning on joining us for one, always a good idea to take a look at the schedule and see if we bump any of these around. Might be a different time, might be a different day, but typically we shoot for the end of the month. The idea being this sort of summarizes what happened during the month. So usually the tail end of the month is when we try to have these. But from that website, bit.ly/GEG Ohio, you can find our agenda. And this agenda is editable. So please do feel free to add comments, questions, resources, links, and so forth. The agenda includes several different sections. There's a upcoming events portion. So if there's anything you'd like to add to this, please do. If you know of a conference or a webinar or a training or something that would be beneficial for folks, please just throw another bullet point in there and add that in. We then have a section on what's new in G Suite for Education, where we try to cover all the most recent updates. Then there's a Q&A section. Please feel free to add any questions you have in there. And if somebody does put a question in and you have an answer, please put the answer in. That would be great. We'd appreciate everybody working together and helping each other with these things. And then finally, there's a show and tell section where you can share interesting things that are happening in your school or a neat resource you've come across in the last month. Please feel free to also add things in there. So you can type right into the document, or like Lynn did here in this example, you can add comments off to the side. Just highlight some text and hit the little comment button and add some comments off to the side as well. That is fantastic. I'll also be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat, because sometimes people prefer to just chat in there, and that's totally fine as well. I'll do my best to keep an eye on that chat and see if any questions come up over there also. Now, in the future, rather than just watching this live video, if you would like to be in the Hangout to chat and share a resource and take part in this discussion, I'd love to have you. Just drop me an email. You can send me an email at ericcurts@gmail.com and let me know that you'd like to pop into the Hangout. You can be here the whole time or just jump in for 5 or 10 minutes and share something. And as long as you let me know, I will send you that invite link to get you invited. Even today, I'll try to keep an eye on my email, and if any of those do come in, I'll happily send you an invite. All right, guys, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the agenda and get started with our meeting. Fantastic. So as we scroll on down through here, we've done the little welcomes. First thing I'll do is under the important links, we've already mentioned the website, so we've got that. Let me real quick, and I'll literally highlight this. I was going to say I'm going to highlight this, but I will literally highlight this. We do have a sign-in form, and I would encourage you, if you would, take a quick moment to click on that sign-in form and go ahead and sign in for today's meeting. What that will do is it allows me to generate a certificate of attendance to send to you after the meeting. Some folks use these hours to help with their with their renewals of their teaching certificates or other certificates they might have. And so by filling in your name and your email, I can then generate that and send that out to you afterwards. The second function of this is we do send these numbers to Google. We don't send people's information like, who you were and so forth. The email address I'm collecting, it's just so I can send you your certificate. But the rest of this, like, what was the date of the meeting and how did you attend the meeting? Obviously online. Sometimes we do face-to-face meetings, but this is a Googly question. They like to know if it was your first time ever being involved in this particular group. That I do pass on that sort of data to Google. They like to be able to track how our GEGs all around the world are doing. And GEG Ohio is just one of the hundreds of Google Educator groups that are out there. So thanks for taking a moment to fill out that sign-in form. Appreciate that very much. Speaking of GEG Ohio, down to the updates section, here's where we like to mention real quick what our current member count is. So GEG Ohio, like we mentioned, it is certainly a website, but in addition to being a website, it's also an online discussion forum. And so what we use is we use a Google Plus community to act as a discussion forum. Now you can get there through the link right here in the agenda, or if you go out to the regular website, and if you just go to the link that says discussion board, there's a link at the top, and there's also a link on the homepage for that. That will get you there too. You'll see a link from the discussion board page on the site out to the actual Google Plus community. And there we go. And so right now we have, as of today, 3,726 members. And this is a Google Plus community. So you do need to have Google Plus active on your account to be able to join it. If your school doesn't have Google Plus turned on, you can always use a personal Gmail account and just use Google Plus on that instead. And basically what this is just a gigantic online forum where if you've got a question you want to ask, if you've got a resource you want to share, if you want to connect with over 3,000 educators all around the state of Ohio, come here and ask your question, share your resource, find out neat new things from other people. So definitely encourage you to take advantage of that if you have not done so already. Next up, we have our upcoming events. These are mostly Ohio specific. So if you are joining from somewhere else, you are so welcome for being to be here. We appreciate you being here so much. But this section, yeah, probably a little bit more Ohio specific things. We do have some conferences coming up. The NeoTi conference is going to be at Beechwood High School, not too far away from where I am up here in Northeast Ohio. That is October 27th. I believe that is a Saturday. It typically is. And definitely encourage you to attend that one. It is a great conference in the 5th year so far of holding that. And if you have not yet submitted a proposal, I know we're getting pretty close to the conference, but I've got it on a good word from Andreas that we can still sneak in some proposals for that conference if you are wanting to present at that. Next up is the Learn 21 conference. This has been going on for many years as well. This one's down in Columbus. This one will be November 2nd. This one covers a lot of topics. They try to do typically 2 tracks where they cover things that are more for teachers, like normal, like, tech integration things, but they also try to have a really strong track for people that are more on the technical side of technology. People that are tech directors and folks like that. So this is a nice blend of, there are sessions for teachers and there are sessions for the people that are trying to manage the network behind everything as well. Other trainings coming up in November. We're going to have 3 more of our applied digital skills trainings going on. I got a chance to do a bunch of these this month. I think we got like 4 of them in during the month of September. And now we got another round coming up in November. Now these are totally free. There's no cost whatsoever for these. These are provided by Google. These are from Google. At the moment, we've got a Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland area session set up. Hopefully we'll add a couple more. We are, I think we can probably get about 2 more in, I believe, in the fall. So if there's an area that we have not had a chance to serve yet around the state of Ohio, we would absolutely love to bring these trainings to some other spots. Just certainly contact me if that's something you're interested in. We can chat more about it. There's a flyer here if you want to learn more about it. And then there's also registration links for each of these different events. Just to give you the real quick lowdown on what this is all about. If you're not familiar with applied digital skills, This is, here, I'll open up the website here for you. This is Google's totally free curriculum. It's a tech skills, life skills, job skills curriculum. There are over 120 hours worth of content in this curriculum. It's very much hands-on, project-based learning for students. It's geared toward middle school and high school learners, although you definitely can pull some of these down lower into elementary, and they've also got a lot geared toward adult learners as well. But it covers all kinds of things like, creating choose your own adventure stories, planning an event, planning and budgeting. That's a very important thing, learning how to budget your money. Things like creating presentations, how to write a resume, how to do a college search, how to organize the files in your drive, how to create quizzes and forms, how to work in a group project, on and on down the line. And all of these are just loaded with videos. They've got these really nice short 2, 3, 4, 5-minute videos that talk the students through step by step each of these different projects while the students complete them. What we do in these trainings is we give you a really thorough training on the whole process. We give you time to be a student. I create a class and you guys join my class and you do some projects and get to see it from a student perspective. Then we switch around to having you guys be teachers and you learn how to create classes and track student progress and access all of the resources that are in there. And we just get into all of the nuts and bolts of how this works and how you can take this back to your schools and use it with your students. So if you can attend any of these, we would love to have you. If not, please definitely check out the site on your own. I do have several blog posts on my Control Alt Achieve blog as well, where I talk about the program. But if you are in the Columbus, Cincinnati, or Cleveland area, we want to thank Westerville City Schools in Columbus, SWOCA in Cincinnati area, and North up in Cleveland area for hosting some of these events. The space is limited, so I think we can get about 50 or 60 people typically at most of these, and would encourage you to sign up and pass this along to other people that would benefit from it. Awesome, good stuff. Let's see. After that, don't forget OETC. The call for proposals ends October 1st. So we're really, really, really close to being at that deadline. If you have not done that yet, don't forget to jump over to the OETC website. The conference is February 12th through 14th, but I would encourage you, please share. That's what makes the conference so valuable, is people who are in the trenches doing things day in and day out, sharing this information with others. And that is so important. So if you have not put a proposal in yet, I would encourage you to do so. And speaking of proposals, I just realized yesterday that the ISTE proposals are coming due this Thursday, I think, and I haven't sent mine in yet, and so I kind of panicked there, but I realized we've got a couple days. So ISTE is in Philadelphia this year. So just heads up, guys, the 27th. So that's, Thursday at like midnight. That's it. So you got to get the ISTE ones in as well. And since that one is in our neck of the woods, being just over in Philadelphia, would encourage you to consider ISTE as well. Further out in March, we've got the Neotech Conference, a little bit of a change this year. If you're not familiar with Neotech, it's been held at Kent for a long time, Kent State University. They're moving up to the Cleveland Convention Center to make this a bigger 2-day, much larger conference. So excited to see how the Neotech Conference will grow. And of course, the Ohio Google Summit every year. That will be this year, May 13th through 14th in Sandusky. It bumps back and forth between Columbus and Sandusky. It'll be at the Kalahari Resort up in Sandusky this year. Oh, fantastic. Somebody added this in. Thank you so very much. October 6th through 7th, EdTech Team Cincinnati Area Summit. Awesome. So that would be another fantastic one to plug into coming up October 6th and 7th. So whoever put that in, thank you very much for adding that to our list. I appreciate that. And if I've missed any, please follow the lead and do that exact same thing as that, and throw in any additional ones that would benefit the group here. Love it. Fantastic. All right. Let's keep on going down. I think that's it. And again, Pardon me, because every now and then I have to peek over and take a look at the YouTube chat and make sure I'm not missing anything. So I will pause every now and then. Those of you that have been with us for many years, you will recall I used to have Anthony Luscre as my partner in crime, and he's been retired now for a while, and so I don't have a second set of eyes who's letting me know when there's something I need to keep an eye on. So pardon me if every now and then I pause to take a quick look and make sure I haven't missed something else that is going on there. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So we're on to our next section, which is what's new in G Suite for Education. Now, we don't run these meetings in the summer typically. Sometimes we've done like one special summer session or something, but typically we don't run these in the summer. So we are going to start with just some quick highlights from the summer, and then we'll get into our normal what happened in the last month. We're not going to go through like everything that happened in the summer. I just picked a couple of things that kind of jumped out at me as some things that were some big summer highlights. And we'll go through those. And typically each month, though, we're just looking at what has happened in the last month. So from one meeting to the next, whatever new things have come out. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into the what's new in G Suite. First thing up, June 28th, that was my birthday, June 25th. So if anybody's taking notes, now you have no excuse. Yes, June 25th, that was my birthday. Google announced that Google Earth has added a measurement tool. Now, this may not sound like a really, big thing. You may be like, oh, really? Well, here's the thing that I like about this is that, remember, Google Earth used to be a program you had to install on your computer, and then they made a version that was the web version, which means Chromebooks would be able to run Google Earth as well. Well, the reason I bring up this, I know it's a little announcement, but still, is that little by little, what they're doing is they're starting to replicate features that used to be in the desktop version, now in the web version. And so this was just one of the latest ones. So now if you look down the left-hand panel of Google Earth, you will see a little ruler that if you click on, it opens up this measurement tool where I can say, hey, I live up here in the Akron-Canton area and I need to go down to Columbus, and how far is that? And I can get that distance. Now, if you want to do more than one thing, you can just keep on clicking and you can make a nice long, trek around. And if you go all the way to where you started, it'll not only give you the distance, but it'll also give you the area of what's inside of there. So this is a feature we used to have, well, still do, but in the desktop version that we did not have when the web version launched. And it's just exciting to see that they're continuing to fill in those gaps with things that we had not been there. So this could be great for a lot of things. Definitely as a math teacher, that comes to mind right away with measuring distances and so forth. But it's a really great opportunity to have that feature now added into Google Earth. So thanks, Google. We appreciate it. Next up, there were quite a bunch of announcements at ISTE that they threw out there. And a lot of these we're actually going to see in bits and pieces as we go down through here later. One of the big ones that we keep being told soon is, and let me zoom in a little bit, I know that's a little hard to see there, is locked mode in Google Quizzes, in the quizzes for Google Forms. So this is something that's been asked for quite a long time, that when you push out a Google form for a quiz, to be able to lock it down so the students can't leave the quiz and open up another tab and then, start looking up answers or just doing something else rather than working on the quiz. So sort of like the secure browser when somebody takes like the AIR test or something like that. We've been told back at the ISTE conference back in late June, early July, that coming this fall will be the ability to do this on Chromebooks, to be able to choose an option where you would go in and say, hey, this is going to be a locked mode quiz. And then after doing that, when the students go to take it, it will, while they're taking the quiz, they'll only be able to be on the quiz. And then after they finish taking the quiz, then they'll be able to browse other places. Ann Nash, who is our one of our Google reps for this area, was recently in a Hangout for a regional tech meeting that Dave Miller was running. And she was asked the question, we keep hearing soon. And she goes, yep, soon, very, very soon. So we still don't have a date on that. But from Ann, she had said that she had reinforced again that it should be soon. So I'm hoping still, within the next few weeks or month-ish, we should be getting that, I hope. Next, Classroom, and we'll look at that in a little bit more detail. Big updates to Classroom. Other announcements at ISTE included, tablet versions of Chromebooks, some things like that. Most of this probably we won't dig into. These are all cool, but a lot of these will show up. Yeah, we'll just jump onto a few other things. A lot of these will show up in some of the other updates. This was just sort of like their big announcement all at once, and then they sort of broke things out later. All right, so let's go ahead and start breaking a few things out here. I'll pick off this little one before we get into the big stuff. Google is releasing a grammar checker in Docs. That's pretty cool. Right now, it's still part of an early adopter program, and you can follow the link here if you want to sign up for that. But basically, what it's going to do is instead of just being a spell checker, it's also going to be a grammar checker. So that's nice. Right now, there's a lot of grammar checker tools. Like I really like. I'm going to draw a blank now. Language tool. I like language tool a lot. If you're looking for something in the meantime, if you go to Google Docs add-ons, language tool and then SAS writing reviser are two that I recommend a lot of times. I've got a blog post somewhere on Control-Alt-Achieve about that. But like language tool, what it will do is it will pop up a little panel on the side here, and it will check down through your whole document, and it will look for not just spelling errors but grammatical errors, like you used the wrong tense or something like that. And it'll explain, what you did wrong and help you correct it. That's the kind of tool we're talking about, and that should be coming to Google Docs soon. It's still just part of an early adopter program, so you can sign up for it and try to get included in it to test it out for now. But when soon that will be available as well, and then you'll be able to run a grammar check rather than just a spelling check. So good to know. All right, so this is the big one. This is the big one. Google Classroom, probably the largest amount of updates I've seen since Google Classroom first came out, happened this summer. Now, I did do, if it's helpful to you, I did do a blog post on this. I don't think I linked it up here, did I? Nope, that's their blog. And definitely, whatever makes the most sense, please click the link that works for you. Further down, if we go down to the show and tell, I did do, here it is, 7 back to school up. Nope, that's not it. Here it is, 9 updates. 9 updates for Google Classroom. Here, I'll highlight that for you. I do have a blog post where I went through all of those as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull that one up just because I'm a little more familiar with it, since that was where I kind of distilled all of the information I could into one place. But these were the updates that came out this summer for Google Classroom. So let's just hit these real quick and explain what they were. One of the first big things that was an update was just a whole change to the layout as far as the different tabs. And I'll pull over a tab here to show you, pull one of these over here and show you what it looks like. This is just a demo. This isn't like a real class here, no real students or anything like that in this. And you'll see that we have a real different layout than we used to have. It used to be we had the stream, then you had students, then you had about. Now you've got the stream, classwork, people, and settings. These are the 4 new tabs across the top. And just very briefly, definitely check out the blog post here, and you can get into all the gory details about it. Or if you guys have questions, just please throw them in the agenda doc, and we can dig deeper. I just don't want to go over it in great length if most of you are familiar with it, but I definitely want to give everybody the quick update, the elevator pitch on this. So here's what happened to the stream. The stream now is only for discussions. It used to be the stream was for everything. Announcements, assignments, gradable questions, the whole thing. Not anymore. The stream is now, I got something to say. I got something to share. I've got a question. Here's a cool resource. This is for you and your students to have a discussion. It's more of a discussion stream. And what happened was all the other stuff like assignments and so forth, they've all been moved over to a classwork tab now. And this is really helpful because as awesome as it was to have the convenience of everything in the stream, it wasn't all that manageable. It was just too much stuff. Like you'd put an assignment in, then a discussion would happen and the assignment would get pushed down and you couldn't find the assignment. So you try to push it to the top. And there was a lot of stopgap things to try to resolve it. And Google finally realized, I think we just need to split them. So now all of your assignments and so forth are over in the classwork tab. And so here you can come in and you can create an assignment, ask a question and so forth. And a big difference here is the stream is still chronological. So new things are at the top, old things are at the bottom. Not the classwork. The classwork is topical. It's not chronological. When you create something here, you go in and you pick a topic you want to add it to. And so you might have, a topic like Unit 1, Unit 2, or Chapter 1, Chapter 2, or first 9 weeks, second 9 weeks, or however it makes sense to you. I mean, you can organize this in so many different ways, but the point is you're basically building your whole curriculum. This is like your entire course of study here. This is your whole curriculum. And so you could have all your units or your chapters or however you organize it. And underneath each one of them, you could have all your assignments. And this is also where the About page has moved to. Basically, you notice there's no longer an About page. The About page used to allow us to have like class resources, like, oh, here's a really good website that you should use, or this is a link to our digital textbook, or here's my syllabus for the class, or here's my grading guidelines for the class. That has moved from the About page to the classwork page as well. So in addition to creating assignments and questions, you can also create material. So material is a non-gradable item, like, hey, class materials, here's a great website, or here's, a useful, grading document that I use that you can look at whenever you want to see how I'm going to grade your essays or something like that. So all of that is now on the classwork. So think of this as basically your course of study, your curriculum. You can build the entire year bit by bit by bit with everything on that page. The people page is everybody that's attached to your class, whether it be teachers or students. So that's a little bit different. It used to be students were on one page and the teachers were on the About page. Everybody's here. Other than that, no big difference. They're just all in one place now. And then the settings gear. This is where settings that used to be strewn all over the place now are all together in one place. So this is where you can edit the class, the description, the room you meet in, stuff like that. This is where you can get your class code so people can join your class. This is where you can decide who's allowed to post in the stream. Is it just you posting? Are the kids allowed to reply? Can they post in the stream? And then this I would definitely turn on if you have the kids posting the stream, the show deleted items option. If you have that turned on, that's great, because if you are letting students post, which again, I would encourage you to do so. That's a whole other discussion, about having kids learn how to properly communicate in a digital environment. That's good. This is a good, safe environment for them to learn the proper way to communicate with each other. But if you have that turned on, definitely have the deleted items turned on, because if a student posts something that's inappropriate, they can always delete their own post and then it's gone. Well, if you have this turned on, show deleted items, it'll be gone for everybody else, but you'll see it. That's a great way for you to see, you did post that and that was not appropriate. And now we need to have a discussion about that. All right. So that's the big update to the layout. The thing that's really cool here is if you go one layer deeper in here and you see another really neat update, and that is grading now has a much easier workflow. So let's come in here and see, do I have one where, yeah, this is fine. We'll use this one. So let's say I come in here and these are all fake. Again, this is just pretend accounts. I've just used some test users and stuff like that. No real student information here. So let's say I come into this assignment. In the past, when I would come in to grade my students' work, if I would click on their document, it would open that up in its own tab. I would read it. I would, grade it, whatever. Then I'd come back to Classroom and I would put in their grade here. I'd come in and I would put in their grade. Okay. Not a problem, but it was a lot of jumping around. You're opening and jumping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, this is so cool. So if you come in here and you go to open up a student's assignment, it now opens in this whole new format where the assignment opens with a panel on the top and a panel on the side. The panel on the top lets you jump between all your students. You can just use the arrows to move through one student at a time, or you can use the drop down to jump from one student to another. Then down this side, here's where you can put the grade in. You can just come right in, give the student a grade. There's a spot for private comments if you want to add a private comment for your student there. And you could always do that before, but you had to, come back over here and do the grade. Then you had to click on the student and then add a private comment. It just was a lot of clicking around. Now you can do that all in one place. Another neat thing is they've added a comment bank. So there's now a comment bank here that if you click on, you can click add to bank and you can add all of your custom comments that you like to leave for students. And if you got a whole bunch of them, you can paste them in all at once and it'll realize each new line is a new comment. And once they're in here, you can now just open up your comment bank anytime you need, click on the 3 dots next to a comment and just kind of say, oh, I didn't post. It's yelling at me because I didn't post the private comment. There we go. Last thing I'm going to say about updates to Classroom. And if somebody wants more details, happy to go into more. But the last thing I want to mention is if you go back to your main Classroom page, you now can copy an entire class. So if you go to the main Classroom page and click on the dots on the tile, you can copy an entire course. Now, this is really nice because if you spent your whole year building up this amazing classwork page, and now it's a new year, you can just come in here and duplicate the entire class. Now, when you do that, here's a copy. So I did this earlier. So here's one, and then I had made a copy of it. Now, obviously, it doesn't have any new updates. It was whenever I copied this, week or so ago, or whenever I did that. But if I come into the copy, it doesn't copy anything in the stream because it's not going to bring in, those discussions you've had all year with your students. The stream is, that's for that year. But what it does is it brings in the entire classwork page. Now, I've added more stuff since, so this doesn't look exactly the same. But when I made the copy, this is what was in there. It brings in the entire classwork page with all of your topics, all of your assignments, all of your materials, everything, and it's all put in draft mode. So your entire year, the entire curriculum, it's all there all at once. And then throughout the year, you just go, oh, it's time for that assignment. Click on the dots, go to edit, and hit assign. And now it goes from being draft to now being assigned, and it goes live and the kids can see it. So this would be great for a teacher to duplicate their own class for a new year and then, obviously make changes as we always do. This would also be really neat for a school if you're trying to create online courses. You could make a master course with everything that needs to be in there, and then you could add teachers as co-teachers to it, and then they could just duplicate that master course anytime they need, and now they've got a copy of the master course. So this would be wonderful for building, online courses or a course database with all of your core courses, and then teachers could just make copies of that. So pretty neat that we have those options now. All right. Well, I think that's the gist. I mean, there's a few. There's little other odds and ends that are in with that. I think we hit most of those though. And so that was a pretty big one. That was a pretty big set of updates. You can either, like I said, read the blog post I did on it down in the show and tell, or you can certainly use the resource link here and the FAQ page here to go through all of those updates. Somebody says, I'm looking here, a question about old classes. Yeah, if you've got an old class, you can upgrade those as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So if I have, these aren't really real students, these are just from trainings and stuff, even on this one. So if I come in here and I find an old class, let me see, what's one I haven't updated yet? I probably haven't done anything with that one. Yeah. So like, for example, if I have an old class and I open it up, it's now just going to say stream and people. It will not have the class work page in there because it's still the old version. So everything is still going to be in the stream. What you want to do on an old class is go down to the little question mark in the bottom left-hand corner. And if you click there, you'll see a button that says add classwork page. So you can retroactively take an old class and convert it up to the new version. Real quick word of warning though. It does not, and it'll tell you that, it does not bring the about section with it. So anything you've got on your old about page unfortunately doesn't just get moved over to the new materials page. I'm not sure why. I shouldn't say page, the new materials section of the classwork page. So if you've got old things on the about page, you will see in the top right-hand corner of your header, there's a little link that says about. If you had anything, it would show up there in that pop-up. So if you had old stuff on your old about page, you could remind yourself, now what did I have on that? Oh, I better copy those links. So I would do that first. I'd come up here to about. If you had anything, copy the old stuff from the about page, then come down to the question mark, then say add classwork page, and then let it upgrade it. Now, I don't have anything on this one, so it won't hurt. I'll go ahead and click the upgrade button there. And then basically what it does is it creates a classwork page, and it would grab any assignments from the stream and move those over to classwork. But then, like I said, you're going to have to re-add the materials. So it'll grab like assignments and stuff, but you're going to have to re-add the materials. So get them first, because if not, then, you know, it's not as easy. so I would say get those while you can get them easily. All right, awesome. I think that's it. Again, and if I have a question, if somebody throws a question in there and I miss it, definitely draw my attention to it. Maybe throw it in the Q&A down here as well, so I can see it down there. I did see somebody said, I have a teacher who's doing assignments, and now they're all showing up as separate assignment folders in her drive. Is this why? Well, assignments should always be separate folders anyway. So I'm sorry, I might be missing something in that question. If you go to your Google Drive and you open up Classroom, that's how that has been. So if I go to my classroom folder, these are all of my different classes. And then inside of all of my different classes, I will have then subfolders, and each folder inside of there is each of my different assignments. And so that's where I would find each assignment should have its own folder normally. So I apologize if I'm missing what you mean by that question. If so, please clarify. All right. Okay, so that's the big classroom updates. Besides that, summertime. Did we have anything else in the summer? Yeah, a little bit. Oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. And I think this is probably on my short list for an upcoming webinar. I have not done any webinars yet this year. I typically do one a month. I'm getting them all queued up and figured out. So in October, I should have my first webinar, and then I'll try to get back on the cycle of doing those once a month. And Tour Builder, or excuse me, Tour Creator. Tour Creator, I love this. This is such a great tool from Google. It allows you to make basically like your own expeditions. So very soon, I should, maybe even my October webinar may be on Tour Creator. It's one of my, on my short list of ones that I'm going to be doing my trainings on. They have added the ability to use the Cardboard Camera app as another way to add your 360-degree photos to Tour Creator. So for what it's worth, if you're not familiar with Tour Creator, and we will not turn this into a giant Tour Creator thing here, but if you're not familiar with it, it basically is the tool that allows you to build what's basically like your own expeditions, where you can go scene by scene, and you can look around, and you can add points of interest to them. So very much like an expedition, just building it with this really cool Tour Creator online tool. The question is, how do you get the photos in there? And right now, Google offers several options. One is you're allowed to use Street View, so you can just grab Street View images that already exist. The other is you can purchase a 360-degree camera and take pictures. Well, those aren't cheap. Unfortunately, they're not cheap. I mean, you can get them for $70, $80. You can get them for $400. There's quite a range there. There is a really cool app, though, that's been around for a long time. It runs on iOS and Android called Cardboard Camera. And basically what it does is it allows you just to take your phone and spin in a circle, and it will record a 360 photo for you. The cool news was that Tour Creator now lets you use that app to also add photos. So if you can't afford a 360-degree camera, you can just download from the Play Store or the iTunes Apple Store, the App Store, you can download Cardboard Camera, and you can use that to spin around in a circle and take a 360-degree photo and add it in there. So I appreciated them adding that. It broadens the usage of Tour Creator to more people. Again, keep an eye out for hopefully a training on that coming up soon. Awesome. Google Sites got a little bit of an update. Here's so Google Sites, now when you do Google Sites, we now have this layouts option over here. So when you go to insert things, you can have pre-made layouts ready for you. Instead of you adding each piece bit by bit, you can say, oh, I like this one with the pictures and the text under it. Give it a click, boom, it adds it in for you. Now, could you add your own pictures and could you add your own text? Could you do this on your own? Of course. Yeah. I mean, it's just you're just inserting, you know, text and placeholders for images. It's just nice. It does it for you. So pretty sweet. So that can make for a lot more attractive, really nice layouts, really neat, attractive designs for your site. So be aware that's in your layouts section of the new Google Sites now. So good stuff there. And the last thing from the summer was that Google added a quick access panel, which I know we've all seen by now. It's right over here on the right-hand side. So if you are using docs, sheets, slides, drawings, calendar, you now have a bar down the side that gives you quick access to your calendar, to your tasks, and your Google Keep. If you don't want this, there's a little button here that can hide it, and then you can click the arrow to bring it back. I would say the main reason I'm pausing to bring this up is really because of Google Keep. I've done a bunch of posts. A lot of people have shared a bunch of posts about creative ways to use Google Keep inside of Google Docs, such as using Google Keep to have canned comments that you're going to copy from Google Keep and insert into the doc, or using Google Keep for doc stickers. I always love that one. You can create, you know, everybody loves a sticker on their work, right? Who doesn't love a sticker? And so there's a great blog post out there that encourages you to create, you know, little stickers, and there's a bunch of sample ones as well that are basically just images, you know, like PNG images, and you can save those to Google Keep, and then you can open them up in Keep and drag and drop the images, the stickers, onto students' work. Well, because we've done that a lot, we've always instructed people how to get to Google Keep in Docs. We would say you go up to Tools, and then you click on Keep Notepad. Well, that's not here anymore because now it's always here in this little bar on the side. So it's worth pausing for just a moment. If you come across I probably have old posts that need updated now too, that probably say, click on Tools and go down to Keep Notepad, and that'll launch Keep on the side. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. It's always there. Or if you don't see it, you need to use the little arrow to bring that panel back up. All right. Whew, let me pause there for a second. So that is everything from the summer. And again, we're taking a look to see if there's any comments here. If a teacher deletes his or her classroom folder, assignments will show up individually. Oh, really? I did not know that. Thanks. That's from Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie Lyons. Appreciate that very much. So it sounds like a consequence of if you go in and you delete your classroom folder, the assignments have to go somewhere, and then they show up individually rather than being grouped. I have not done that before. So thanks for letting us know that. That could be the reason. All right. So what happened in the last month? Honestly, not a lot. It looks like there's a bunch of things here, but there really aren't too many. We won't spend but a few moments on these. September, I think Google got everything out in the summer. It was really August. You know, they dropped a ton of stuff here for back to school. Not a lot of new things in the last month. A couple things worth mentioning. One that I'm excited about, maybe not everybody is, but that Chrome OS is going to support multiple accounts per profile. You may say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, here's the idea. I have like loads and loads and loads of accounts, like tons of them, because I've got schools. I work with 30 school districts in my job, and I train with other schools. And so I've got loads and loads of accounts, and I don't want to put all of those accounts in, signed in at the same time in Chrome. So what I do is I create multiple profiles. So it's like, okay, this is at the moment, this is my work profile. Well, here's this one. When I brought this one over just a bit ago, that's my my trainer profile for my G Suite trainer. And then I've got other profiles, and I can get to them all by coming up here and picking all these different, profiles. You can't do that on a Chromebook, though. With a Chromebook, you basically sign in to your profile, and that's what you're using. Now, yeah, you can sign in multiple times to the Chromebook, and you can do switching. You can switch from one to the other, but you can't be running multiple profiles at the same time, which I love to do, because I can easily copy from one profile to another, or I can be, demonstrating this is what the student sees and this is what the teacher sees. Sounds like we're going to be getting that in Chrome OS, to have more than one profile active at a time without having to switch between them. So for me as a trainer, I'm excited about that. Sounds like it's still to come, but I'm going to keep my eye on that one. Next up, I don't know if any of you guys ever used Inbox or not. That was Google's sort of experimental, cutting edge Gmail tool that kind of went above and beyond what Gmail would do. Inbox has been around for several years now. It's sort of where they try new ideas out. Things like when you guys go to reply to an email and it gives you 3 suggested replies. That was from Inbox. They tested that in Inbox. Or snoozing a message. Well, we can do that now. That's in Gmail now, but that started in Inbox, to snooze a message and say, bring this back a day from now. Well, basically, Inbox served its purpose. And so Google has said, okay, we are going to retire Inbox, because now everything awesome we created in it, we've pretty much moved over to Gmail, and we will move forward now just doing things in Gmail. So heads up, if you were an Inbox user, thank you for pushing forward with all those neat new innovations and helping Google test them, but Inbox is going away. All right. Most of these we've talked about. Here's one worth mentioning. If you're a Team Drive user, so if your district is using Team Drive, they are adding an additional role. One of the things that's already nice about Team Drive, let's see if I can find where they've got the full list here. I thought they had a list of all of them. That's okay. But one of the things that's nice about Team Drive is it's more granular. So if you were to share a folder with people, it's pretty much, hey, you can either view this folder or you are God and you can do everything with it. You can view the folder or you can completely destroy everything in it, And that's the nice thing about Team Drive, is it allowed you to have these granular options. Like you could be, you could have view rights, you could have edit rights, but not delete rights. You could have full access or like admin rights that will let you, edit things. They are now adding in a new role called Content Manager. And so for that one, you're going to be able to edit, reorganize, and delete content, but you won't be able to modify membership and sharing settings beyond that as far as the drive goes. So it's just one more little granular notch in there, which is really nice. So when you're trying to put people into a Team Drive, you have another option. Now you have this Content Manager, so you can edit things, you can reorganize, but you can't, in this case, for example, modify who's a member of the Team Drive. So I thought that was nice for those that are using Team Drive to have a little bit more granularity in your control over that. I would say this next one is worth mentioning. This is a new thing called an insight tool. And this at first might appear to be more of an enterprise thing, like, oh, I could see businesses would really like this. But it is rolling out to education as well. We are getting this. It's going to be for your admins. So if you're using the admin console, you'll visualizations of how people are using G Suite. And so you can go in by org level and you can see, okay, 6th grade students or, high school or elementary or however, it depends what have you set up your organizations. You can drill in and see how much are they using all of these different tools, Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Docs, Sheets. how much of an adoption rate have we seen? It's like, oh my goodness, nobody in the middle school is even touching Google Drawings. Hey, we really need to show them more about that. So this is going to be this really neat insight where we can see the adoption and how much people are using these tools. And then there's even a collaboration tab where you can see how different groups are working with other groups. How well are, the middle school kids collaborating with the high school kids, or, vice versa, or whatever it might be. So I think this could be something good when we get those questions. Okay, so what impact is G Suite having on your school? Sometimes we're like, well, I got this touchy-feely thing that it's doing good things. Well, this will help. This will help give us a little bit more detail on the actual, use of it, and maybe see some areas where are we weak? Where are some areas that we need to do some more professional development with our staff or our students, or where are we having some great successes in the use of it? So be aware of that coming here soon. This one I'll just mention real quick. If you guys are still using Microsoft Office files and you're using Google Drive Stream to access them, one of the dangers is two people opening the file at the same time and not realizing they're both editing it. Now Google Drive File Stream is going to have an option that if you do open a Microsoft file from Drive Stream and somebody else has it open, it will now alert you. It'll let you know somebody else is currently editing it, so you can be more cautious with, oh, I don't want to overwrite what they're working on. So, and I know that is still the case many places. There's, organizations that still do a ton of stuff with Microsoft Office. It's a phenomenal product and a lot of people still use it. And so if you are using Microsoft Office, but then using Drive Stream to host those files in Google Drive, this makes it a little bit safer for multiple people to work on Microsoft files as well. And the last thing I have as far as new stuff is a new thing coming in Google Drive. A new priority folder that's on its way to us. So this is still a beta thing, so you may not see it yet. But what's going to happen is, let's see if we can get a bigger picture of it so we can see their little picture here, is that when you go into Drive, down the left-hand side, underneath your New button, there's now going to be a priority section. And what it's going to do is it's going to have your most, commonly used files. And then it's going to have a section called Workspaces where you can throw files into there to keep them at fingers, reach, so you can grab them real quick. Here's a couple of key points about this. You probably say, Eric, this looks familiar. I go to Drive and I see this stuff a lot. Well, that's because this suggestion stuff used to show up when you just click on regular My Drive. And I think some people were sort of frustrated by that because that always popped up and they had to scroll down to find stuff. So again, Google's just separating that. They're moving that out. Now, if you go to My Drive, it's your Drive. If you go to Priority, you'll see, hey, I think you might want to be accessing these things because these look like stuff that are important to you right now. And then this Workspace here, things you throw down there, it does not move them from the folders they're in. This is kind of like starring things. It's just saying, hey, they're still in their folders, but I just want to have some quick links to a project I'm working on at the moment. I need these 3 files. And then when it's over, go ahead and move them out of the workspace, and they're still where they've always been. So just heads up, that's on its way, and we'll be seeing that here soon. Whew. Let me take a break there. So that's everything new that I'm aware of. If anybody has something else that you know of that's a new release that I missed since summertime, or if there's one I glossed over that you wanted us to revisit, let me know, because we're about to transition into Q&A and show and tell. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm looking in our chat. I'm not seeing anything in the chat, so I think we're okay there. And I don't see any comments on the side. So I will take the absence of comments as affirmation that that's okay, that we don't have anything else to add to that. All right, good stuff. So again, each month, keep coming back for that. We will look at all the new things again next month. Q&A. So what do we have here? Is update classic sites to new sites now fully ready for use, or are there still gotchas? Well, I'm going to say there's still gotchas. Okay. If somebody else who's listening right now wants to throw in some stuff in the answer of your experience with this, please, please do. I have not converted a ton of sites over, but I've done enough to know that for me, I was a really big sites user. Okay. And I still do. I love sites, but I mean the old sites, classic sites. I used it a lot and I really pushed it. Like I would do really fancy things with, editing the HTML code and adding things in that weren't normally there and using the gadgets and things like that. So a lot of my sites, I tried to kind of push the envelope with them. They do not convert well over to the new version just because there's not a one-to-one correspondence. And the new version, doesn't do the gadgets like it used to do. And, a lot of the things I put in for HTML don't fit in the new layout of it. So I guess what I'm saying is, if your old site was pretty clean, and if you used pretty traditional options when building it, yes, you can convert that over to the new version. If you did anything with gadgets, if you pretty much went in and customized any of the HTML, it'll convert, but you're going to have to redo some stuff. And you just have to decide, is it, I don't know if it's going to change though. I haven't heard if we're going to get more robust, if the conversion will get better as we go. All I can say for sure is Google has promised us they will not get rid of the old sites until the new sites is on par with it. Now, I don't know, what they're going to consider on par, if they're going to eventually just say, some of these things just aren't going to convert. They haven't said that yet. But once they do, once they say, we now feel that the new sites is a complete replacement for the old one, they've promised we will then have at least a year from that time before the old sites goes away. So there's always going to be that buffer that we have. So we haven't got that date yet. So I guarantee you've got at least a year with the old sites still to work on your conversions. So that it may be that you may have to do the conversion and then just little by little by little go in and clean things up that didn't convert over well. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer than that, but if somebody else is listening and you can share some of your experience with it, please feel free to. Next up, in old Gmail, if you hovered over a sender's address, you could switch to mode that showed all the emails from that sender. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I totally know what you mean by that. You're exactly right. There was an option to click on a button when you hovered over them, and it basically ran a search for just that person's email, and it would bring all those up. And you're right. I don't think I've seen that recently because I used to use that on occasion. It wasn't like an everyday thing. And I remember like a couple months ago trying to do that and I couldn't do it. And I was like, what's going on? And I I didn't know if it was like, my problem or what. I'm doing this in another window right now, actually. I'm looking real quick to see. I don't want to bring up anybody's live email up on the screen here. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm doing this on one of my side screens over here. And it looks like when I hover above somebody now, I can add them to contacts. I can send them a message. I can schedule an event. I can do a video call with them. I get their email. If I click on their email, it tries to send a message to them. Yeah, I don't see that anymore, where you got that really nice, easy option to just say, show me everything from that person. Now, don't forget, you can always do that from the search bar. And I know that's not what anybody wanted to hear. You just want the quick button to click on. I totally get that. But don't forget, if you go to the search bar and you click the little down arrow, there is a from option. You can, throw their email address in there and then, click search and it will bring up everything that person has done. But I totally get what you're saying, because I did the same thing. Just hover above their name, hover above their face, click on that little option and boom, it would bring up all their messages. So at the moment, unless somebody knows an answer to that, you can definitely go to the search bar at the top, click the little down arrow, and then throw their email address in the from section, and that will get you there as well. This is a good one to follow up on, though. I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer on that. All right. Is there a way to reply to forward only one email in an email thread in the new Gmail? I don't know if I'm following that. So you want to reply to or forward just one email in a thread. I didn't realize that there was any change with that. So like I just pulled up a thread over, again, I'm not going to pull it up on the screen here because it's real people's emails. On the side, I pulled up a thread and yeah, I mean, I can click on any one of the messages in there, and for each message, it has its own individual reply button. So like I don't have to reply to like the most recent message. I can click on an earlier message, hit the reply button, and now I'm only replying to that earlier message. And if I want to, I can click the three dots. Don't forget, there's always the three dots. Anytime you see, or the snowman, people call it the snowman. I don't know. I just call it the three dots button. If you click on an individual message in the conversation, click the little three dots in the top right-hand corner of that message, and you will see forward is an option there. That will let you forward just that message in the conversation. It won't be forwarding the most recent one with everything before. It will just be forwarding that. So that's what I would say is if I'm understanding you right. If not, please go ahead and clarify that for me. But click on an individual message, use the three dots for it, and then vertical ellipse somebody's throwing in. Excellent. Snowman, vertical ellipse, three dots. I'm sure we've got some other good ones. We should do a poll and see what are all the names for the waffle button and the hot dog, hamburger, pancake stack, all of that. All right, what's up next? Let's see. Do you use Autocrat to make your certificates? Yes, I do. I have had some technical issues with Autocrat, not running for large district-wide events. Is there a better alternative? I do not have a better alternative, but I do agree it does hit limits every now and then. If it is getting hit too quickly, like I just did a training the last 2 days where we're working with some staff where we were demonstrating a form they needed to fill out that when they did, it would send them a response through Autocrat. And we had so many people submitting it all at once that it kind of, hit some bumps and it didn't send out the response for everybody. And some people had sent the response, but it hadn't had time yet to merge all the fields properly. So some of the fields were still the little less than, greater than symbols, and it hadn't put the field in yet. So there are limits. Yeah. If it gets hammered too quickly at once, and if it runs too long, if it's too big of one. So a couple of things you can do is, you can always rerun it. All you have to do is go in and delete out the cells that show that it ran for that row. And then when you rerun it, when it sees those, there's always 4 cells on the far, far, far right. There's 4 columns where it tracks that it ran. If you delete out what's in those 4 cells for just that row that needs to be rerun, you can rerun Autocrat. You can just run it manually, and it will realize, oh, those are blank, and it thinks it didn't run, and then it reruns it for those. So sometimes I'll just have to go in and rerun it for some that didn't work well, or if they're just blank, I'll just have to manually rerun it. For the webinars I have to do that every now and then because I'll get an email and somebody will say, "Hey, Eric, I took your quiz at the end of the webinar and I never got my certificate." And I don't know what happens. I'm not sure why. So I'll go in and I'll click on Autocrat and I'll basically just click edit and go click through it and click save, and it's happy again. You just kind of have to restart it. Sometimes I'll turn off the trigger and turn it back on because there's the last setting in Autocrat is the trigger where you can say, do you want to run Autocrat on form submit? So I'll go and I'll say turn it off and I'll turn it back on, and sometimes that works. You can also just do smaller batches. You can say, okay, I'm just going to run this so many at a time. With Autocrat, you can put in a conditional statement. It's one of the steps in the wizard, and say, if this cell has a yes in it, go ahead and run it. And then, only put yeses in the first 100, let it run for those and then run it again later. I don't have a better alternative. If somebody else has tried another mail merge tool that you're happy with, there's a bunch out there. For a document though, it's still Autocrat for me. I am not aware of a better tool. It is for me the best I have found for a mail merge. Now, if I just want to do a mail, like an email merge, I use Yet Another Mail Merge, YAMM, Yet Another Mail Merge. And that's if I just want to send an email merge, not a document. And it's much simpler, less options, because all you're doing is just sending an email. So that's what I use for that. All right. Oh, ice cream cone. Somebody's saying the 3 dots ice cream cone. Very good. Awesome. All right. That's all that I see in the Q&A at the moment. If somebody has another question, please throw it in. If you've got a better answer than I gave, which is very, very, very likely, please throw in, do that. Oh, I do see somebody added some. Sorry, I missed this. They said, I don't want them to see an entire thread. Please remember, whenever you reply or you forward something, it will always show that message and anything that directly led to that message. Okay. There's not really an option in email without you manually deleting out the old stuff. There's really not an option to just hit forward or reply and just grab that little snippet of what you're replying to. If there's a thread, if this is the 10th message in a conversation, and you go back to the 5th message and you forward the 5th message, yes, say that 5 times fast, it'll forward the 5th message and all 4 of them before that with it because it's part of a thread. Now, what can you do? Well, you can hit forward and then you can go down and edit the content of the message. I do that sometimes. It's just the thread got out of control. It's just too long. So you hit forward or reply, then go down and click on the 3 dots to expand the message, and then just highlight and delete out all the stuff you don't want to send. I've definitely done that when a thread has just gotten unbearably long, and so I just want to highlight a certain part of it. So you can manually go in and do that. I am not aware of any way to just click a button and do that. But please don't forget, when you go to forward or reply, you can absolutely edit what is being forwarded and replied to by going down, scrolling down below, clicking the little 3 dots to expand it, and then deleting out the stuff you don't want to send. You can certainly do that. All right. All right. I think I do see a question over on the side in the chat. Have created a Google form where people write numbers, but when the answers come in on the Google Sheet, the 0 at the beginning of the numbers is not being displayed. Oh, so so if you've got a Google Sheet where you have a leading 0 and it's not showing up, that's a good question. I like that question. Really nifty. Let's poke a stick at that. That's cool. So certainly it could be text. You could do it as text. Okay. So notice if I have the number, 20, obviously that's fine. But if I type in 020, I lose the leading 0 because it realizes it is 20. If I want to do text, you can put a single it's an apostrophe, a single tick, a single quote. It's not a quote, it's an apostrophe, I guess. The apostrophe. If you put an apostrophe first, followed by whatever you type in, like 020, it tells it, hey, that's text. It's letting it know that's not a number. And it won't show up in the cell, but it will show up in the formula bar up here. So you'll see the little tick, you'll see the apostrophe in the formula bar, but you won't actually see it in the cell. That way you're telling it, this is a number, this is text. Now you can still, of course, center it or do whatever you need to with it. I'm too zoomed in to see my centering over here, but there it is. So you can still center it or do whatever you want. But that's one option, would be to enter the apostrophe with it to force it to show the 0. And I have to do that too for stuff. Sometimes like a check, you'll get a check and it's got leading 0s and you need to record that properly. The question is there a way to do that through the formatting options here, though? I do not know the answer to that, if there's another way. Because if I click on this and I go to format, number, and I come in here, there's some common number formats. But I would imagine if there's a way to do it, there's probably down here, if we were to dig in deeper, we can probably do something custom, and maybe it understands that other countries would prefer to have a 0. So let's see. So here's my 20. We're going to go format, number, more formats, and we're going to go to custom formats. And I don't know. Okay, I'm not seeing one. But maybe I'd have, don't know if I could add it in. I see Anthony. Hey, Anthony, my long lost partner in crime is in the chat. Hey, buddy. Anthony is saying, yeah, very good. Format is text. Perfect. Okay. And then you said, or use the custom number formats. Anthony, I will task you with that. If you can go in there and see how we would do that, that would be wonderful. Because I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me see. That didn't do anything. I'm not sure, but that's probably the place. If it's going to happen, that's the place. And if anybody can figure it out, Anthony can. So I'm going to pass this off to Anthony and let him poke a stick at this. And if he can see a format that forces a leading zero to not disappear, we'll hear from him. But my answer was use the apostrophe and do it, as text. You can also format it as text. So if I came here and said, this is text, plain text, then I could probably put the zero in front of it too. I'm just so used to, yeah. So you could also just format it as plain text. If you don't want to use the little apostrophe thing in the front, you can go to format, and instead of number, you can say plain text. So that's the same as putting the apostrophe in front of it. Cool. Thanks, guys. That was a fun little rabbit hole to go down. Always enjoy those kind of questions. Good stuff. All right. So the last thing we talk about each month is show and tell. What are some cool new things? What's new as far as a cool extension, or have you come across a creative use of a Google tool, or things like that. All right, so we are not going to go. We never go through all of these, so please don't panic. We're not going to go through all of these. We pick out. I always just try to pick out a couple that really jumped out at me, but they're here for your benefit. These are things that all month long I read blogs, I listen to podcasts, I watch Twitter, and if something comes across and go, oh, that's so cool, I just copy and paste it into this. So I basically build this document all month long, and it jumped out to me. So maybe some of these things, if it sounds cool to you, please click on these links, read these blogs. These are all from excellent ed tech folks all over the world that caught my attention, and so I threw them in. All right. So I will mention, as I always do, anytime I throw new things on my blog, I will include those recent blog posts here. So just heads up, since last time we were together, here are some blog posts I have done. I'll give you the elevator pitch. You can read these on your own, certainly. The first one, Collabordependent. And yes, there's a red squiggly under there, but I attest this is a real word, in my opinion. Collabordependent, writing with Google Slides. This is all about using Google Slides instead of Google Docs if you want to do independent writing with collaborative feedback. Now, there's nothing wrong with Docs, but this talks about how you can use Google Slides to push out a slideshow to your students, where each student gets their own slide. They then write up their response on that slide, but because they're all in the same slideshow, they then go and visit so after they write up whatever it is they're writing up, so they write up it could be anything. It could be, a writing prompt you gave them. It could be a definition of a scientific term in their own words. It could be, how did you solve a math problem? Whatever it is, whatever writing they're doing, they write up on their slide, but then they go visit other people's slides because they're all in the same slideshow. So they can write on their slide, but then they visit others and they leave feedback. They read each other's stuff, and then they add comments to provide feedback. So it's just, it's nothing earth shattering, but it's a really nice way to do feedback and not be jockeying around with 25 different documents. Everybody's in the same thing. We're all in a slideshow. We're all just working on our own slide and then visiting each other's. And of course, if something goes wrong, there's always version history to see if somebody did something inappropriate to somebody's slide. So, all right. Let's see. What else did I throw in here? This one, two-step verification. Not the most glamorous post. It's not like, oh, this is a fun activity with all these neat things. But honestly, guys, I think this one's really important. I know it's not, like I said, it's not a cute, fun activity like I try to share a lot of times, but it's really important. If you haven't done this, Google says that less than 10%, or a survey that's been done says less than 10% of Google users use two-step verification. And I'm not going to go through all the details. It's all here for you. Just so you understand, here's the idea. The point behind this is when you go to sign in normally, it's just your username and password. If you do two-step verification, the point is you are then required to do a second step to prove it's you. Very often it's typing in a code. So you go to log in and then buzz, your phone buzzes and Google says, hey, here's a 6-digit code. Type this in to prove it's you. Or you can install like the Gmail app on your phone. And once you've done that, then your account is on your phone. You can use a verification pop-up option. And that's what I use. Whenever I sign into a computer that I've never signed into before, I put in my username, my password, and as soon as I do, buzz, my phone buzzes, and I have to click a button that says, are you trying to sign in? And I go, yes, I am. And then it lets me sign in. And there's lots of other options too. Now, what's great about this is it's just more protection. If somebody finds out your password, that's not enough. They know your email because they know who you are. Once they know your password, they could get in. Well, not now, because when they try to log in, your phone's going to buzz. You're going to be like, I'm not trying to log in. Why is it asking me this? They're not going to get the code. They're not going to be able to log in. And now you've been alerted somebody's trying to log into my account. So you can go change your password and realize that. If you want, if it's a computer you trust real well, you can also tell it, don't ask me again on this computer. And so you can do that for computers that you trust. And that way it doesn't pop up every time. But again, it's not the funnest post I've ever made. But guys, honestly, think of how much stuff we put in our Google accounts. Think of how much stuff is in there. And if you're in a school, sensitive information about students, we really need to make sure we are protecting those. So it's something to consider. I just throw it out there as something I would encourage people to think about. We already talked about applied digital skills. I mentioned that earlier. If you want to learn more about it, here's one of my recent posts on all the cool new things that Google added to applied digital skills. Read the post. And if, again, you want to learn more, don't forget we've got some upcoming trainings on that as well. Those are way at the top of our document now. So all the way up here under upcoming trainings. Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, and hopefully maybe some more if some people want to bring the training to your neck of the woods. This one probably not appropriate anymore. We've already probably made it. If you don't know your kids' names by now, it may be too late. But here's one that you can just reshare next year at the start of the school year. It's using Google Slides to help learn your students' faces and names. When I was a teacher, I taught middle school math. I would take a picture of every student first day of class, and I would develop the photos. It was with like a 110 camera, and then I would have the kids fill out a 4x6 card with all of their information, and I would staple the picture to the card, and I would sit at night flipping through the cards, memorizing kids' names and faces, because that's so important not to do a hey you or to call a kid by the wrong name. You want to connect with them. And so I said, can we digitize this? And so I made this slideshow where the students come in, they each get their own slide. Whoops, I went past it. There you go. They type their name in, about themselves, and then they use the webcam on their Chromebook, and they just take a picture of themselves, and they replace the picture here with their picture. There's like just like a placeholder picture here. They replace that with theirs, and then after that, you now have a slideshow where each slide is a different student. I've set the animations in the template. So when you run the slideshow, it'll show their face first, then you have to click, and then it will show their name and about them. So you can look at their face, test yourself, and then see if you're right. And you can learn about your kid. And I also talked about using Slides Toolbox to randomize your slideshow if you want to shuffle them around so that you can, practice them in a different order. All right. Pear Deck released some great new templates. Love Pear Deck. Check that out. And of course, we talked about the updates to Classroom, and then I did a training for Youngstown schools on Google Tools for English Language Learners. So I went ahead and included that information here. So if you work with ELL or ESL, there's a whole bunch of helpful Google-y tools that would be appropriate and helpful for somebody who is an English language learner. So that's all my new stuff. I do see Anthony said use custom number formats and use zeros. So I didn't know. Let me see if I can understand what Anthony is telling me there. So let's go ahead and come over here. And you said go into format, number. Oh, I've gone in too far now. Zoom out. More formats, custom number formats. And you said put in a bunch of zeros. Oh, look at that. Oh, I told you Anthony was the man. I told you he'd know. See, the smartest person in the room is the room. We're all better together. So that is awesome. Thank you, Anthony. Now, it does look like we have to specify how many zeros. So if you knew ahead of time that, you need, the 6 digits or whatever, you would do 3 of them, or you do 6 of them. If you only need, 3 zeros, you could do 3. Ah, sweet. Awesome. Learn something new every day, as Anthony always said. Good stuff. All right. And then after that, again, I'm just going to pick a couple of these out that, really jumped out at me. Please do follow these links to get all the details later on. And again, some of these, like I said, probably were more appropriate at the start of the years. Like here's one on great templates for the, 18-19 school year. If you still need them, they're there. These are from Megan Kelly. And I always love the stuff Megan puts out. She does a very excellent job on the things that she creates. So she made some templates for the 18-19 school year. Marie Venturino did a great post on daily exit tickets with Google Forms. So if you think forms are just for doing quizzes, well, that's great. But she has a wonderful post and some templates you guys can use and make copies of. And it's these daily exit tickets where she asks students about how they are feeling. Like today in class, I felt, and I feel that, I'm being treated kindly. And I feel that I'm being supported as a learner. And then she can look really quick and even use conditional formatting to see, are there dangers? Are there things that are not working well in my class that I need to be addressing? So that's awesome. This is a great one from Miguel Gulen down at TCEA in Texas on using the import range function. This is a really common question people ask. I've got data in one spreadsheet and I want to put it into another spreadsheet. And I mean, I've used import range for years and years and years and years. And so I totally echo whatever is being said in this post, but Miguel did a really nice job of explaining it. So if you've ever wondered, how do I get data from one spreadsheet into another live? How do I pull it live and have it update all the time? He explains how to use import range, talks you through step by step, how to get the link and how to put that in and how to, you've got a little video here and also good stuff if you want to get a little nerdier with spreadsheets. Let's see. Jake Miller always putting out the awesome animated GIFs of how to do things in Google. He's got several in here, how to create a drop-down list in Google Sheets. But then he did one that I was not aware of, and I really appreciate him sharing this, how to save images from within a Google Doc. There used to be an add-on that did this. If you have a Google Doc, and in that Google Doc, you have a picture in there, and you didn't maybe put the picture in, or you did, and now you don't have the picture anymore. There used to be an add-on that you could use, and you would go with that add-on, and you could just click on the image, and it would download a copy of it for you, and it doesn't work anymore. And I didn't realize that. I was like, why doesn't that work anymore? And so there's Jake. Look at him popping over on the side. They're all smiley. So Jake talked about how you can do this. It is such a creative way. Basically, what you're doing is you're going in and you're downloading the document as a web page, and then you're unzipping it. And then inside of that zipped folder is the pictures. So sweet, nice. So if you need to get an image out of a doc and you have no other way to do it, there you go. I like that. That was really clever. Here's another great one. This is from Ben Collins. Speaking of spreadsheets, this is a spreadsheet heavy meeting. Love Ben Collins. Can't say enough nice things about him. Ben does so many neat things with sheets, provides a lot of great courses, including free ones as well. He was talking about conditional formatting, but across an entire row. Now, conditional formatting, we do a lot of times say, if a student scores below a 70, turn this cell red. But what if you want to make the whole row turn a color based on something? That it takes a little bit more cleverness, and he explains how to do that. He says basically you select everything, you turn on, you set up conditional formatting, but then the key is you put in a custom formula that says, even though the whole range is being affected, only look at this one cell. And if this cell says West in this case, then the whole range turns green. And so this can be really neat to, make an entire, row do something. Speaking of which, we have another example here a little bit later that takes advantage of this for exactly what we're seeing here, like a checklist. Like if I check this, turn the whole row red, and then, put a line through the thing I was supposed to do. So that's conditional formatting being applied to an entire row. And that's really useful. I like that a lot. Let's see. Oh, well, here it is. It's right here. Student progress tracking with Google Sheets, checkboxes, and conditional formatting. There you go. So this is from Amy Rodinger, and she got a little tip from Andreas about this. So two awesome folks love Amy and Andreas, and she talked about exactly that. She took all of her AP Chemistry learning objectives. And here, I'll go ahead and open this up and make a copy of it so we can see this in action. This is so clever. I really, really like this. Make a copy. And so she took all of her objectives for her AP Chemistry. I believe it was chemistry. Yep, AP Chemistry class. And she threw all the objectives into this spreadsheet. And there's a lot. Think of all the stuff kids have to learn throughout the year. Now, as the kids go through the year, they each can have their own sheet, and they can say, I think I've mastered that. And as they do, they check the box. And look what it does. There you go. It does exactly that. This is a perfect example of where you would use this. It changes the color to green. It crosses that off. And then look up here. It calculates how far you've come. So as I start checking these off, my percentage of completion grows. So you could use this for so many things that you need to track. So thanks to Amy and Andreas, and perhaps even Ben further back, for everybody who has brought this to our attention on a way to do that and use that. Amy also had a great one on interactive notebooks for science. So if you want to look at that one, she's got one on that too. Meredith Akers. Love Meredith. I got to meet Meredith down in Texas this summer. Cannot say enough nice things. If you don't know Meredith, if you're not following her, you need to. She consistently produces some of the most high quality, creative uses of Google tools I've seen from anyone. She does great stuff. She did a blog post here on self-reflection. She had been reading about Hattie, John Hattie, with all of his strategies to improve learning and their effect size, and self-reporting grades is a big one where students take some time to think ahead of time. What do I think I'm going to earn on this? And doing self-reflection on self-reporting of grades. And she's got a great blog post here on how to do that. And she even includes a load of possible prompts here that you can use for kids to think of when they're doing a reflect. I think people got so excited about this one. Printing posters, like multi-page posters using Google Sheets. Okay, you got to see this. This is such a clever idea. So let's say you want to print out a picture or a banner that will take multiple pages to do. Well, here's what she decided to do. She goes, okay, I want to have this giant, banner here. So what she does is she puts it inside of Google Sheets like normal. She opens up Google Sheets, she inserts the image as normal, and then she drags it real big, and she makes it really, really large. Then she goes to print. And when she goes to print, she goes into the page orientation, sets it to whatever she needs. Then she says, set custom page breaks. And what she does is she sets up the page breaks so that it extends over multiple pages. So now it's taking up 8 sheets of paper for that. Then she basically prints it out. And now she's got this 8 pages that she then stitches together and puts up on her wall or whatever. And you can make it, or here she said, here's just 2 sheets worth. Oh, that's awesome. What a neat way to be able to do a big poster by using Google Sheets. So just once again, proving if you think Sheets is just all about numbers, it's not. It is such a versatile, creative tool. And of course, Meredith for the win on that one. From Anthony, a presentation on Google Sheets. Thank you for putting this in here. Oh, very good. Thank you, Anthony. So here is looks like a recent presentation Anthony has done. Oh my goodness, with all of his Google Sheets wonderful stuff. Thank you, Anthony. That is fantastic. So please check that out. A few new text sheets. I'm assuming Anthony put this in. Must be enjoying text join, min ifs, and max ifs. I have not used those. Anytime I want to join text, I typically use the and symbol, but I'm guessing this is another way to do that. I'll have to try that out. And I have not done anything with min ifs or max ifs. So it sounds like I've got some new formulas I've got to learn. If anybody wants to share some practical applications of those, feel free to append a little bit more to this, but that's a good challenge. And then here's the leading zero thing that we did. Whew. Well, guys, I think we made it. I think that's it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's scroll back through and see if we're missing any other things we need to highlight here. Oh, I did see there was a comment here from Lynn. Sorry about that. She says, I've been experimenting. Oh, I skipped over this too. See, it's a good thing I went back and saw Lynn's comment because I completely skipped over this. I'm experimenting with scheduling a YouTube live event like a Google Hangout on Air for middle school announcements. Scheduling allows me time to edit in a setting of private or unlisted, sharing only with specific teachers in our building, keeps the video protected from outside our building. The settings also allow the video to disappear after a set amount of time. Well, thanks, Lynn. I have not played around with that scheduling option in that. I've never tried it like that. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm going to have to try that too. And thank you for reminding me to mention this. YouTube is beta testing a new version of their video editor. So if you head over to YouTube and go into, I don't know if I've switched this one over yet or not. Yes, I have. There we go. If you switch over to the Creator Studio. So if you go to YouTube and you click on your face and you go to your Creator Studio, this is the new beta version of the Creator Studio. If you don't use YouTube Creator Studio, you wouldn't notice the difference, but they've got a beta version of the studio out. There is not much in it yet. There really isn't. It's very, 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 very basic right now. But what's important to note is they're starting to add some features back that we had lost. And one of them is a video editor. They took that out like a year ago. And that was something that I think a lot of people were really saddened by, because when it comes to editing video on a Chromebook, what are your options? I mean, certainly WeVideo, love that, but it does cost money. And for some people, that's a stopping point. If you can afford it, definitely. WeVideo, excellent, excellent video editor for Chromebook. But what if you can't afford it? What if you don't have that? Well, we used to be able to go into the YouTube Creator Studio, and it wasn't like phenomenal, but you could trim your video, you could cut out parts from the middle, you could add transitions, you could add titles, you could add lower thirds, you could add a background audio track, you could pull video from multiple videos and stitch them together. I mean, that's good. That's good. I mean, it wasn't like, amazing. It didn't do everything a video editor could do. It's like I use like Camtasia for a lot of my video editing. I mean, that didn't do all of those things, but poof, it went away. They got rid of it. And I think it was probably, I'm guessing it was probably Flash based, and they probably realized they had to retire it. Well, the folks over at the Grant Wood AEA in Illinois, and I don't know if this was Jonathan who shared this one. Yeah, Jonathan did. So, oh, I'm sorry, Iowa. Why did I say Illinois? You guys are in Iowa, aren't you? I apologize, Jonathan. I knew that. Jonathan Wiley, love Jonathan Wiley. I didn't know if it was Jonathan or Mindy Carney who had posted this. They came across this and realized they had seen somebody mention this, that you can now switch over to the YouTube Studio beta version. And when you do, it does allow you now to go in and start doing some editing on your videos. And so if I come in here to one of my, I don't know what might be a good one to use here as an example. Whoops, that's not where I wanted to go. I'm probably not going to be able to, oh, there it is. So if I click on it and I click editor, it will bring up an editor. And guys, there's not much to it right now. It really is basic, but it does allow you to trim. So you can go in and you can trim. You can also trim in the middle and you can cut things out in the middle here. If I wanted to hit split, I could now trim out portions in the middle of it. And it does have an audio track that you can adjust the audio track. I mean, that's not much, but I'm just so excited. It looks like, maybe fingers crossed, they're going to be rebuilding the old video editor, and it's in beta now, but hopefully we'll get transitions and, lower thirds and all those things back. And let's hope that through YouTube, we'll now have the ability to do video editing. I've said it for a long time. I'll always say it. I really think that's a hole that Google really does need to fill. They need to have a simple, universal, it'll run on anything video editor that you can say, oh yeah, in G Suite, just head over to the YouTube video editor. You can do all kinds of stuff in there. Right now, I'm glad we've got third-party tools we can use, but I think that's something that they really, they should just buy WeVideo, but if they don't, they definitely need to build something. So, all right, let me do a last-minute scan through this, and if I missed something, please, guys, holler at me, highlight it in yellow somehow, show me if I am completely missing something that somebody added. While I'm doing that, let me remind you guys, if you did not get a chance to sign in, some folks joined us a little bit later. Hey, that's fine. Thanks for being here. Glad to have you. If you didn't get a chance to sign in, near the top, looks like page 2 of our agenda, there's a sign-in form under the important links. It's very, very brief. It's just like your name, your email. Is this your first time joining us? I use the email only to generate a certificate for you. That's how I send you your certificate of attendance. I do not share that with anybody else. And I do share the numbers with Google, though. They do want to know how many people attended the GEG meetings. So I do use that to help report to them. So please do fill that out if you did not get a chance to do so. Other than that, as always, I would encourage you to periodically visit bit.ly/GEGOhio, head out to our website, where from there you can go to our monthly meetings link and see what's upcoming. Check before the October meeting. It's supposed to be October 31st, but who knows? As we get closer, things do move around. If you want to access any of the previous meetings, that's all there. You'll always have access to this agenda and the video that's live right now. This will become the recorded video. So you can always watch this later if you need to, or if you need to share it with a colleague. Please send them this information and they can watch the video that's been recorded from this event today. Also, while on the site, take advantage of our discussion board. That'll take you out to the GEG Ohio Google Plus community, where you can share and connect with over 3,000 educators in and around Ohio. Other than that, I want to thank everybody so very much for being here today. We had such a great amount of people. I know when you're watching, you can't necessarily tell, but I can see who's watching live and who's in the doc and who's in the chat. And it was a wonderful group of people here today, and you all contributed so many great questions, but also helped out so much with the things you shared. Please do think of joining me in the future in the Hangout. I'd love to not be the only one talking. So drop me an email if you'd like to be in one in the future. And even if it's just for a few minutes to jump in, please do. Share what you're doing in your school. Jump on and just brag about the awesome things that your kids are doing and your teachers are doing, and share a neat resource. And I would love to have anybody on in future meetings. Other than that, thank you guys so very much for being here today. Hope you're having a great start to your school year. Take care, stay in touch, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.